If I only had 7 days to plan a VBS, this is exactly what I would do. Most people think that planning a vacation Bible school takes months, and it does. But guess what? If you're short on time, you could still pull off an incredible VBS in just 1 week. I've had things like this come up before where you have very little time to prep. But it is possible. You just need to know what exactly you're doing and not waste any time. It's all about strategy, structure, and simplicity. You must have a clear plan. Without a plan, it'll be stressful, chaotic, and overwhelming. I plan multiple VBS-like events each year, so if I only had 7 days, this is how I would do it. Let's dive in. The first phase of coordinating a VBS is the setup phase, and there are 6 most important things that we need to start with. These are the big 6, and they absolutely must be put into place. Day 1, Monday. On day 1, these are the things I'm going to be working on. First is the schedule. Because we only have 1 week to plan, I assume we already have the dates for the event. But what time will it be happening? Is this in the morning or in the evening? And how long is it? How many hours? Once we've got that, the next one is the budget. Is there a budget put in place for this? Because we're working fast, I'm assuming there won't be a ton of expenses just because of time. Next is curriculum. I would normally create my own, but because we only got 1 week, I would pick a curriculum that's already developed. Personally, I would use something that I've done in the past, but you could also buy a curriculum. Don't spend a lot of time comparing or overcomplicating it. So on day 1, we figured out schedule, budget, and curriculum. These are the easy ones. Because we're very limited on time, we don't have a lot of options. But now we've got some harder things coming up. Day 2, Tuesday. To start off day 2, if you don't know already, I would figure out the location. If this is just the church, then great, location's done. But if not, and I need to find one, well then now's the time to start looking. The next 2 are dependent on each other, children and volunteers. How many volunteers I need depends on how many kids I have coming. Let's figure out the kids first. On this day, I would figure out what's a quick way to promote this to the kids and a simple way to have them sign up. I'd probably just use Google Forms to make a sign-up sheet. And then I would estimate how many kids should I plan for. Once I have that number of kids estimated, then I can have an idea of how many volunteers I need. We need to recruit fast, like really fast. Personally, I would delegate this to someone who enjoys calling people and getting them involved. Day 3, Wednesday. Okay, the big 6 are mostly figured out, and that's our setup phase. Because promoting to children and recruiting volunteers are such big, vital jobs, I'd probably take most of day 3 working on this some more. The best thing to do would be to delegate these jobs to others because they will continue to happen until day 7. With any extra time I have today, I will familiarize myself with the curriculum and maybe assign some vital roles to specific people like snack leading and game leading. Boom, in just 3 days, we've completed the setup phase. Now we need to make sure to put structures in place so that it runs smoothly. Before we move on to day 4, you might be wondering about these phases I'm talking about. Well, there are 3 phases of a coordinator. A coordinator is someone who organizes things like VBS or Sunday school or any other children's ministry event. This is a symbol for the coordinator. These symbols and the 3 phases come from my children's ministry training course called Quick Start. The coordinator is just one of the 5 vital roles for events like VBS. We are talking a little bit about the coordinator's 3 main phases right now, but each of the 5 vital roles have their own vital keys. If you'd like to learn more and have clear steps for your role in children's ministry, then click on the link in the description to access the course. Now, moving on to day 4. Day 4, Thursday. Now that we have a lot of the main setup done, or at least moving forward, we can move on to the structure phase. We need to now figure out the key structures of the VBS. These structures are what separate a chaotic failure VBS from a successful one. First, let's look at the system for safety. If nothing else, have this system. You need to have a child protection policy. I've been to churches that don't, and honestly, it's a little bit scary at times how many things could go wrong. Now I already have a child protection policy and training for my volunteers, so I can check this one off. Next is a system for order. What are the rules that the kids need to follow? How will not following the rules be dealt with? How will following the rules be dealt with? I also already have a system for this in place as well. Having a good system for order makes a world of difference, like night and day. Both of these are already in place for me, so that was easy. I'd probably just get a head start on day 5. Day 5, Friday. Now we need a system for time. You should already have a schedule, but how do you make sure things stay on schedule? What is the complete picture of everything that's happening that day? I've got a system for this, so I just need to make sure I communicate to my certain volunteers what that is. Now, you've probably caught on by now, but when you have good systems in place that work, implementing them at the last minute is not really a big deal. It doesn't really require that much prep. If you want to know more about my systems, just look at the Quick Start course. The last system is the system for teaching. If you're buying a curriculum and you don't have a ton of time, this probably won't be a big focus. But if you got some extra time, then look how can we make the main teachings of the curriculum be reinforced by each volunteer throughout the day. I have kids months later that still remember the memory verse or even the main teachings from each of the 5 days of our camp. And that's because of our system of teaching. This is often overlooked, but really it's the reason why we're even doing VBS. Day 6, Saturday. On day 6, I would tie up any loose ends, check how many kids we got, check how many volunteers we got, and make sure those numbers are good. Then I would prepare for the next phase of the coordinator, the start phase. On day 7, I will be having an all-volunteer orientation meeting. This is where we get everyone up to speed. So I would prepare for that meeting, making sure I'm hitting the 4 parts of the start phase: inspiration, orientation, implementation, and communication. Day 7, Sunday. On Sunday, if we can decorate, great, but that's not really a huge priority right now. What is a priority is the all-volunteer orientation meeting. After we had that meeting, my team and I would set up the location with any details that are needed, like tables or signs. And that's it. If I only had 7 days, that's what I would do. And honestly, it wouldn't be too hard because I have systems that are put into place. Honestly, the hardest part would be getting a team. If you really want to nail your children's ministry event this year and avoid any last-minute chaos, well, I've put together the full Quick Start training program that walks you through every step. If you're serious about running an organized VBS that is stress-free, that kids will love, well then check out the full course. It's linked below. If this video helped you, like and subscribe for more children's ministry tips, and we'll see you next time.